Hi, I'm Jamie, a producer here at J-Lynn Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Tamar, a producer here at J-Lynn Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Mark, social media manager at J-Lynn Entertainment.
If you love comics and you love video games, then we have something for you. Introducing our patent-pending video game comics, a digital comic designed to be read and played on your internet browser, mobile phone, tablet, Xbox Live, or PlayStation Network, where you not only get to read the comic, but within the comic, you play a video game or a combination of video games, quizzes, and interactions at a particular point based on the story. Your own performance or decisions in the video game will alter the story of the comic and can ultimately change the entire series of the comic. The video game consists of various game mechanics, such as fighting, shooting, puzzles, racing, timing, flying, and other mechanics best suited for the comic's storyline. This adds value and rereadability to your comic. No more reading a comic once and putting it away for years before looking at it again. There is instant rereadability and replayability with video game comics, having 1, 2, 3, or more possible outcomes or scenarios per issue. Imagine reading your favorite comic book or comic book miniseries and really being a part of the story, playing as your favorite comic book hero, getting into the action, and altering the story by your own actions or decisions. You get alternate outcomes, expanding the story and the character's universe. The story, it's really in your hands. But before we start making video game comics of our favorite comic book heroes, we want to create the back-end infrastructure and an original IP called The Adventures of Shadowcat. This will establish the value of video game comics and develop the foundation of our back-end infrastructure, which will make it easier to develop quality video game comics of our favorite comic book heroes and comic book series. That is, after we have negotiated with comic book publishers to create video game comics for them. Hopefully, if we receive an overwhelming response in funding, we can have the resources to develop video game comics for Marvel and DC Comics while simultaneously developing the adventures of Shadowcat. We also have a really cool approach to achievement points that applies to our video game comics that makes the points really worthwhile to our users. The achievement points, trophies, and badges that platforms use and games use, well, what are they for? Pretty much bragging rights, right? Well, how about using them for something cool and make good use of those points that players work so long and hard for? Our achievement system, which we refer to as Shadow Points, is where registered users gain points for reading and playing video game comics. Then, similar to trading in tickets for prizes, like you can do at Chuck E. Cheese, carnivals, and other indoor amusement centers, you can take your Shadow Points and cash them in for discounts on other video game comics, video game books, shirts, and other Shadowcat merchandise at our online Shadowcat store. Even though you cash in your Shadow Points, your lifetime points achieved will always be displayed with your current Shadow Points balance. So you still have your bragging rights. We feel players should be rewarded for investing their time in reading and playing video game comics, and what a great way to reward them for the more they play.
Our first IP, The Adventures of Shadowcat, is about a household cat turned vigilante superhero who uses the technology of a shadow suit, plasma blaster, wit, and luck to stop bad guys such as the Strange Man, the Vicious Cat Gang, the Evil Shadowcat, and many other bad guys that he encounters along the way. Shadowcat is actually a spin-off based on Max-a-Cat, a series with slapstick humor and educational activities geared towards kids ages 4 to 9. A series we hope to develop down the road if Shadowcat is successful. Here's a brief synopsis of how the Shadowcat saga begins. Max and his friend Mike, a genetically engineered snake turned into a genius, go on a camping trip with their owner to a national park. Max and Mike wander away from their campsite and get lost in the forest, leading them to accidentally discover a hidden and abandoned secret government lab bunker, which Mike believes to be from the Cold War era. Mike decides to stay behind to live in the lab, and being the super intelligent genius that he is, gets the lab partially up and running. He discovers a plasma weapon stored in the lab, which has a renewable energy source by pulling energy from the surrounding atmosphere to charge itself. Mike brings Max back to the lab to show him this plasma weapon. They realize they can use it to fight off the Vicious Cat Gang, which has been vandalizing their neighborhood and terrorizing the domestic and stray animals in the area. The cat gang has been giving pets and animals a bad reputation, causing the city's animal warden to grab every cat and dog off the street not accompanied by their owner. Shortly after, Mike creates a suit for Max with some material that he finds in a lab which utilizes shadows for camouflage, thus being called the Shadow Cat. Early in the series, Shadow Cat's plasma blaster and shadow suit malfunction frequently, and Shadow Cat has to figure his way out of binds with the assistance of Mike over radio. This adds an interesting twist in the story and opens up unique and fun game mechanics so standard plasma attacks and combat don't get too repetitive. As time goes by, they improve on his equipment and they come across bigger and badder bad guys.
At launch, we plan on delivering Shadowcat video game comics and other video game comics through a cool animated website, mobile phone, and tablet apps. We will tie the user's account together to the main website so users can enjoy their video game comics on their PC, laptop, smartphone, or tablet, anywhere, anytime. Here is where we need your help. We need your funding to hire back-end engineers to make this a fully functional site with maximum security. We need to hire a few game programmers, artists, and animators to produce a minimum of 2 video game comics per month. We need to pay for hardware and software for contractors and full-time employees. We would like to translate video game comics into Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, and German for readers around the world. We also need to cover legal consultation and fees, and if the funding allows, we'll spend the remaining on advertising. So if you like the idea of video game comics and being a part of the story by having your favorite comic book heroes' universes in your hands, if you like the idea of putting your achievement points to real use, cashing them in to get cool things like merchandise and video game comics in return for your hours put into gaming, if you want to see Shadowcat and the Shadow Force in action-packed adventures, please pledge to support us to bring a fresh new experience to comics and video games. J-Lynn Entertainment would like to thank you for watching.
Follow Video Game Comic News on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook and Google+.